Chapter 372. At this moment, Yichen didn't have a body. Strictly speaking, he didn't have a body in the world of will. In the real world, he just stood there motionlessly, looking at the Iron Sword King's will statue in front of him. There were traces of cracks spreading on the statue. They were very small, but they were already showing signs of collapsing. Feeling the will image condensed in his body, Yi Chen's five senses were very subtle. He could see things he couldn't see before and sense mysteries he couldn't sense before. He was very clear that he could condense the will image only under the guidance of Iron Sword King's will. In reality, he was still far from it. Trying his best to counteract Iron Sword King's destruction sword Dao will, Yi Chen's will image gradually turned blurry, wanting to return to reality. Right at this moment, the storage ring on Yi Chen's finger flickered with a dim light, and the broken Battle King's sword shook uncontrollably. Iron Sword King, long time no see. In the world of will, another will image appeared. This will image was 2 meters tall, with a steel-cast body that was perfectly straight, as if it could support the sky. His eyes were cold and resolute as he looked straight at Iron Sword King. In his right hand was a sword, which was the intact Battle King's sword. Battle King's will image had appeared. "Oh, Battle King, didn't expect you to leave a will in this kid's body." Iron Sword King's brows twitched, somewhat astonished. Battle King glanced at Yi Chen's will image. "He's not my successor, but he can be counted as my successor. The connection between us is nothing more than a broken sword." The two didn't speak, as they couldn't hear each other. This was an exchange of wills. "You've appeared now. Are you planning to exchange pointers with me in Sword Dao?" "That's right." Battle King didn't only have sword intent, but also a battle intent that could break through the shackles of heaven and earth. His jet-black long hair danced in the sky. Iron Sword King revealed an expression of, as expected, "I'm already dead. This will has one last attack left. I hope your immortal sword Dao will let me have a good time. Bring out your sword. Bring out your sword." After several hundred years, the two kings of Sword Dao met once again. Although it was only a confrontation of wills, it was not something ordinary people could see. On the path of Sword Dao, whose accomplishments were greater would be revealed at this moment. Yi Chen held his breath as he stared unblinkingly at the two's will images. Clang! Blazing flames soared into the sky. It was impossible to see the movements of the two. Almost in an instant, the swords of the Battle King and Iron Sword King collided with each other as they poured all their strength into their swords. Roar! The Iron Sword King roared. The gaze emitted from his eyes was even more frightening than the sword chi. "My achievements have long surpassed yours. Retreat." It had to be said that the Battle King's immortal sword will was exceptionally frightening. No matter how the destruction sword will attacked, it was still able to maintain its original form and forcibly resist the attack from a distance. On the other hand, the destruction sword will was gradually being whittled away, causing the Iron Sword King's will image to rapidly dim. Destroy! The Iron Sword King roared again. His body fused with the sword will and crazily slashed at the battle monarch. The will power that could destroy everything turned the world into primal chaos. "I'll show you the true essence of the immortal sword will." A sword intent that was so vast that it could pierce through the sky burst out fiercely. The sword intent was like a vast ocean, one wave higher than the other, never stopping. In front of an even more powerful sword intent, the destruction sword will could only launch a futile attack and then be blocked. Amazing! Your sword Dao is indeed above mine. Countless specks of light scattered. The Iron Sword King's will fluctuation grew weaker and weaker until it finally disappeared. Sheathing his sword, the battle monarch turned around. "Your immortality is different from mine, do you understand?" Yi Chen didn't expect that the battle monarch's first words would be this. After pondering for a moment, he slowly said, "I understand." Everyone's willpower was different because people were born with differences. Imitating someone else's path would only end up shackling oneself. To be able to comprehend your own immortal sword will from my sword intent, no wonder you could reach this step. After a pause, the battle monarch continued, I have nothing left for you. I will impart all of my sword Dao experiences into your mind to help you advance further. Raising his right index and middle fingers, the battle monarch pointed at the space between Yi Chen's eyebrows. Buzz. Countless chaotic information poured into Yi Chen's soul sea, almost causing it to collapse. Yi Chen was overwhelmed with shock. The battle monarch's method was simply unfathomable. He was actually able to impart his sword Dao experiences into someone else's mind. Don't be surprised. My sword will is the immortal sword will, and my sword Dao experiences also have an immortal nature. If it were someone else, no matter how strong they were, they wouldn't be able to do anything. After saying the last sentence, the battle monarch's will image collapsed. After an unknown amount of time, the Yi Chen in the real world opened his eyes. Dual Sword King, Iron Sword King, Battle Monarch, many thanks. From the Dual Sword King's Slaughter Sword will and the Iron Sword King's Destruction Sword will, Yi Chen had gained a lot. However, he still couldn't convert them into real battle power. Battle Monarch's Immortal Sword will had given Yi Chen a direct epiphany. Once his sword will reached perfection, he would be able to advance by leaps and bounds. First, let me take a look at the Battle Monarch's sword Dao experiences. Sinking his consciousness into his soul sea, Yi Chen wandered through the unfamiliar information flow. At the age of 13, he left home and joined a small and weak gang. Amidst bloody and fiery battles, he comprehended sword will and became a gang leader. At the age of 16, he entered clasping Yuan realm, and by 17, he could be said to be unrivaled in clasping Yuan realm. At 19, he entered astral reaching realm. Roaming the continent, he met young sword artists everywhere, and fought countless times. His sword skills became increasingly exquisite, and his sword will became increasingly intense. At the age of 22, there was no young sword artist on true spirit continent who could be his opponent. At 25, he sensed sword intent as a rootless source, and comprehended the immortal will. At 26, he advanced to Sea of Soul realm with a solid foundation, and became the youngest life and death king in hundreds of years, and was called Battle Monarch. Time flowed like water, and Battle Monarch's life replayed in Yi Chen's mind. Without a doubt, Battle Monarch's experiences were incomparable to Yi Chen's, and what Yi Chen lacked was precisely experience. Without enough experience, his sword will could not be perfected, and could not advance further. This had nothing to do with talent or comprehension, but was purely a kind of perfection of the soul. Perfection of sword will was not much different from greater success sword will in terms of power. However, everyone knew that incomplete sword will was incomplete, and there were still flaws and loopholes. Battle Monarch's sword Dao experience filled in the blanks of Yi Chen's experience. A shattering sound seemed to resound in the depths of his heart, and his sword will rejoiced as if it had regained its freedom. This is perfection. So that's how it is. Yi Chen could feel that his sword will had already become perfect, without a single flaw. In the future, the only thing that mattered would be the difference in strength. After perfection of sword will, it is time to condense the sword soul. I believe that because I comprehended the immortal sword will, before my sword will reached perfection, it already had the shape of a sword soul embryo, but I haven't reached the realm yet. With the huge Battle King's sword will as his database, Yi Chen's knowledge of sword will was not inferior to any sword king. Only then did he realize that the ancient long sword above his soul was actually the sword soul embryo, and that warriors could also condense the martial soul embryo, just like Shintujue. The sword soul was about attacking power. The martial soul was about all aspects. It was hard to say which of the two was better, but the key lay in the user's usage. Reaching perfection of sword will still require a long period of time before I have enough willpower to condense the sword soul embryo. However, I am different from ordinary sword artists. Before I reach the realm, my sword will automatically condense into the sword soul embryo, which saves me a lot of time. Now, let me continue. Condensing the sword soul embryo required a huge amount of willpower. Fortunately, Yi Chen had refined 4 blood evil stones, one of which contained a huge amount of willpower, which was equivalent to 4 ordinary blood evil stones. The amount of willpower stored in it was enough to support him to the next step. Above his soul sea, the silver mist poured into the ancient longsword. The ancient longsword vibrated, and gradually, a faint silver color appeared. Trace by trace, the speed at which the ancient longsword devoured the willpower became faster and faster. From time to time, a sharp sword would leak out from the soul sea. Bang! All of the silver mist had been devoured, and the ancient-looking longsword expanded by a couple of times, growing from a finger long to 3 fingers long. The rich sword intent was condensed and contained within. As the owner of the sword spirit, Yi Chen felt unprecedentedly powerful. If I were an ordinary sword artist, I would have condensed a true sword soul by now. However, I am still at the sword soul embryo realm. To condense a true sword soul embryo, the amount of willpower required would be enormous. However, merely based on the amount of sword will, it is several times more than an ordinary sword artist's sword soul embryo, which is equivalent to the might of a true sword soul. In this aspect, I have already surpassed any astral reaching realm sword artist, and am no different from an ordinary Sea of Soul realm sword artist. Extending his right index finger, a green lotus sword chi pierced out. Puff! 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 The sword chi not only pierced through the rock Yi Chen was standing on, it even pierced through 3 nearby rocks. On the wrist-sized sword hole, the sword will didn't dissipate, making one's hair stand on end. Its might has doubled. If Grand Elder Chen were to hear these words, he would certainly be dumbstruck. Before this, Yi Chen was already an astral-reaching paragon. Now that his offensive power had doubled, it could no longer be described with words. Among astral-reaching experts, who could defeat Yi Chen? In other words, the iron rule of astral-reaching paragon was on the verge of shattering. In the past, it was not that there had never been battles between astral-reaching paragon. At most, they would have the upper hand, but there was no possibility of casualties. Who could have known that a person like Yi Chen would appear? In terms of invincibility, perhaps from now on, there would only be one astral-reaching paragon, Yi Chen. Chapter 373. My goal of dominating the astral-reaching realm should be considered accomplished. It wasn't that Yi Chen was being arrogant, but this was the truth. In terms of sword will, Yi Chen's realm was at the embryonic form of sword soul. Its might was comparable to a true sword soul, which was enough to contend against ordinary Sea of Soul realm sword artists. In terms of cultivation base, although Yi Chen was still at late astral reaching realm, and there was still a gap between him and peak late astral reaching realm, he cultivated a top-rank earth-grade technique, Green Lotus Sword Arts. Moreover, he had cultivated it to the peak of the 13th layer. The quantity and quality of his Zhen Yuan surpassed peak late astral reaching realm experts. This was not a disadvantage, but an advantage. In terms of mentality, Yi Chen's thunder mentality and wood mentality had reached the limit, followed by fast mentality, then slow mentality, followed by cloud mentality and earth mentality. Be it in terms of quantity or quality, he was at the forefront. In terms of martial arts, all of them were top-notch goods. His movement art was Shadow Clone movement art, which was amplified by Flow 3 Mysterious Spell, a top-rank earth-grade technique. His sword art was Green Lotus Sword Arts, which had 9 styles, each stronger than the last. It was also a top-rank earth-grade technique. His fused sword move, Sky-Shattering Clouds, had already fused to the 7th style, and its might was not inferior to the complete 8th style of Green Lotus Sword Arts. His self-created sword art, Fast 4 Swords, was based on speed, and each sword was faster than the last. In terms of speed, he was unrivaled. It could be said that apart from having no upper-grade artifact, Yi Chen had completely surpassed astral-reaching paragons in other aspects, and not just by a little bit. What was more frightening was that even at this level, Yi Chen still hadn't exhausted his potential. In terms of cultivation base, if he could reach the peak of late astral-reaching realm, his battle power would increase by at least 20%, and his 20% would be equivalent to 30 to 40% of others. The will statues of Dual Sword King and Iron Sword King had already collapsed. Yi Chen looked at the stone slab in front of him and shook his head. Forget it. Xianhou was Xianhou, and he was him. There was no need to leave any traces of his presence. Yi Chen moved his vision away from the stone slab and looked at the statue of the Star Emperor, which was ranked first. He murmured to himself, the Star Emperor's will is very close to the heavenly Tao, and it's much stronger than the Combat King's will. Of course, if I were cultivating the martial Tao, I would have to risk my life to take the test. Unfortunately, I'm cultivating the Sword Tao. I don't have to stick to the old rules, but it's not the right time yet. One day, when my attainments in the Sword Tao reach the Combat King level, I will be able to absorb all the knowledge I can use to temper my Sword Tao. Leave it to the Fated One. Yi Chen resolutely turned around and walked towards the tightly shut stone door. Boom! The stone door slowly opened from the inside. Through the gap, Yi Chen saw Grand Elder Chen and Lu Mei sitting on the ground with their eyes closed. Grand Elder Yi, did you succeed? As soon as Grand Elder Chen said those words, he regretted it immediately. It was not bullshit. If he did not succeed, then he would die. Taking the test of willpower was not like a master teaching his disciple. There was only a fine line between life and death. Obviously, since Yi Chen had made it out alive, then he had passed the test. Yi Chen didn't care about Grand Elder Chen's words and nodded, "You really don't want to take the trial? This is a rare opportunity." Lu Mei shook her head, "No, the King Will Statue's trial is not something anyone can take. Moreover, I'll be satisfied if I can reach the Sea of Soul realm in this lifetime. As for higher realms, I don't have any extravagant hopes. It seems that accepting the King Will Statue's trial won't give me the aptitude to enter the life and death realm. So, why should I take the risk? Grand Elder Lu is right. Not everyone can take the King Will attack. On True Spirit Continent, only 3 out of 10 people who take the King Will Statue's trial can survive. And, these 10 are all astonishing geniuses. We can't even compare to them." Yi Chen turned silent. Just as the two had said, accepting the trial was indeed a dangerous action. Dual Sword King's Slaughter Sword will had instantly sliced his will into thousands of pieces. If it were someone else, they wouldn't believe that they were still alive. In that case, they would really die in reality. Without any mishaps, Iron Sword King's Destruction Sword will was twice as frightening as the Slaughter Sword will. His will had been completely shattered, and he couldn't even sense his own existence. His life and death were unknown. If not for his immortal intent, Yi Chen believed that his chances of surviving would be less than 30%. Accepting the King Will Statue's trial required one to have the qualifications. Otherwise, there would be no chance of survival. Before leaving, Grand Elder Chen and Lu Mei glanced at the half-closed stone gate and were greatly alarmed. Of the 11 King Will statues, 2 had collapsed. Didn't this mean that Yi Chen had accepted the trial of 2 will statues in a row? This kind of will was enough to shock anyone. There's a conveyor gate in the stone forest, but it hasn't been activated. Yi Chen's soul power had a vast range. On the 3rd day, he finally found a hope of leaving. Of course, in order to conceal his soul power, Yi Chen didn't immediately explain. Instead, he intentionally or unintentionally approached the gate, and only spoke of his discovery when he was less than 15 li away. Conveyor gate. There's hope. Grand Elder Chen let out a sigh of relief. This place was extremely desolate. If he were to stay here for the rest of his life, he would surely die. On the other hand, Bewilderment Fog Island had a population of more than 10 million, and there were many experts as well. Lu Mei also revealed a smile. Although it hasn't been activated, it's still better than having no hope at all. The conveyor gate was slightly damaged, and there were some ancient patterns carved on it. The patterns shone faintly. Obviously, this was not an abandoned conveyor gate. Let's join hands and pour in Jin Yuan to see if we can activate it. Grand Elder Chen suggested. All right. Yi Chen and Lu Mei nodded. Ha! The three of them stood at three different angles and slowly placed their hands on the gate. Their Jin Yuan started to boil and pour in at a constant speed. As the Jin Yuan continued to pour in, the light on the patterns became brighter and brighter. After a while, a black light traveled along the patterns. Woo! The patterns lit up, and a black whirlpool appeared inside the stone gate. Let's go! The three of them stepped into the black vortex at the same time and disappeared from sight. The thick fog covered the entire place, and one couldn't even see their own fingers. Three figures appeared out of nowhere, floating above the lake. Huh, Grand Elder Yi, Grand Elder Lu, our luck is really good. We were actually transported within 1,000 li of Bewilderment Fog Island. The sensory ball is reacting. Grand Elder Chen took out the sensory ball from his storage ring. Seeing the dangerous orange light flickering on it, he couldn't help but laugh heartily. Yi Chen chuckled, being able to walk out of there alive is already luck in itself. Right, with 500 beasts, even an astral-reaching paragon would have little hope of surviving. Of course, this is all thanks to Grand Elder Yi. Without Yi Chen, even if the three hid underground, they wouldn't have been able to escape from the beast's pursuit. After all, at the astral-reaching realm, who could use soul power? Soul power was higher than mind power. Even if they scanned the beasts, they wouldn't be discovered. If it were any other astral-reaching paragon, they wouldn't even dare to use mind power to explore the way. How could they escape? Let's return to Bewilderment Fog Island. Yeah, let's go. With the sensory ball, the three didn't need to worry about getting lost, and headed straight for Bewilderment Fog Island. Bewilderment Fog Palace Hall, what? The three of them came out alive. The island lord of Bewilderment Fog Island, the black-robed old man, was very surprised, but soon revealed a smile. He thought to himself, the rumor of the reversed 9-turn spirit grass isn't fake. It really exists. According to secret information, several hundred years ago, someone disappeared for no reason and suddenly reappeared. One time, when he was drunk, he unintentionally revealed the news of obtaining the reversed 9-turn spirit grass and was chased by others. Presumably, the three of them have hope of obtaining the reversed 9-turn spirit grass. Tell them to come here. The black-robed old man said to the attendant who was bowing. Yes. The attendant turned around and left the hall. Soon, Yi Chen and the other two arrived outside the hall. Come in. The black-robed old man didn't inform anyone. He didn't want the news of the 9-turn spirit grass to spread. Yi Chen and the other two entered the hall. Greetings, Island Master. Grand Elder Chen and Lu Mei cupped their hands. Yi Chen slightly bowed. The black-robed old man creased his brows and glanced at Yi Chen, then said, I'm very happy that the three of you can return safely. What about the others? Grand Elder Chen said sadly, they're all dead, and the ship has been destroyed. You were being chased. Right, there were a lot of bewilderment fog beasts inside. Being able to come out alive is a great fortune. Grand Elder Chen spoke vaguely, not giving too many details. Firstly, it was because of Yi Chen. Secondly, they had harvested a lot of rare spirit grasses and didn't intend to hand them over. So that's how it is. Being able to come out alive is indeed a great fortune. The black-robed old man faintly nodded and said, however, your harvest this time is certainly not small. Hand over your storage rings. I'll only take a portion. I won't let you leave empty-handed. He couldn't directly say that he wanted the 9-turn spirit grass, so he asked the 3 to hand over their storage rings. Grand Elder Chen and Lu Mei's complexion suddenly changed. Island Master, there doesn't seem to be such a rule, right? Bewilderment Fog Ship's purpose was indeed to search for 9-turn spirit grass, but it didn't say that personal gains would belong to Bewilderment Fog Island. Instead, it was used to report back after discovering a secret location. At that time, all the experts of Bewilderment Fog Island would naturally be dispatched. The black-robed old man's expression turned cold. What? I told you to hand it over, and you'll hand it over. Don't forget the consequences of defying me. At this moment, Yi Chen spoke, forgive me, but I can't comply. Grand Elder Yi, you've got guts. Do you think you can defy me just because your cultivation base has made some progress? I spared your life before, and I can kill you now. The black-robed old man shouted. Grand Elder Chen and Lu Mei exchanged a glance. Although they were mentally prepared, they were still somewhat afraid when the matter came to a head. Island Master's prestige had been accumulated for a long time, and had long been deeply ingrained in their hearts. Normally, they wouldn't dare defy Island Master. Grand Elder Lu, what do you think? Grand Elder Chen transmitted his Jin Yuan to Lu Mei. Lu Mei muttered, I believe in Yi Chen. After getting along for a period of time, they clearly understood Yi Chen's strength. He was basically invincible. Yi Chen said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, we risked our lives to obtain this. Why do we need your permission to obtain it? The black-robed old man said in an awe-inspiring tone, because I'm the controller of Bewilderment Fog Island. Those who don't listen will all die. Grand Elder Yi, you've already committed a capital offense. Do you understand? Chapter 374. Guilty of a capital offense? I don't think so. Before his battle strength had advanced, Yi Chen had never feared the Island Master. If he couldn't beat him, couldn't he run? Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone was shrouded in dense fog. Hiding was easy. As for now, there was no need to be afraid. The black-robed old man was so angry that he started laughing instead. Looks like it has been a long time since I fought, and some people of Bewilderment Fog Island have already forgotten my existence. Fine, today I will kill the chicken to warn the monkey, and let everyone know who exactly is the master of Bewilderment Fog Island. Rumble. The chair behind him exploded, and the black-robed old man suddenly stood up. Lightning crackled around his body. Grand Elder Yi, I'll give you one last chance. Hand over your storage ring, kneel, and accept your punishment. Then, I'll spare your dog life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. The black-robed old man was still a bit worried. Extreme astral reaching experts weren't easy to kill. If the latter wholeheartedly tried to escape, his chances of success wouldn't exceed 70%. Of course, if Yi Chen insisted on not handing over his storage ring, he wouldn't hesitate in the slightest and would immediately kill him. Life and death are decided by a single thought of yours. Consider it well. The black-robed old man's voice was rather gloomy. His breathing was gradually restrained, like a volcano about to erupt. He was secretly accumulating all the power in his body, striving to kill Yi Chen in an instant. You could have continued to be the Island Master. Bewilderment Fog Island would still be under your control for the next few decades. Yi Chen said a baffling sentence. You don't agree. You don't have the qualifications to make me agree. Since you want to die, don't blame me. The black-robed old man's fury erupted like a volcano. The lightning outside his body suddenly gathered in his palm. His figure flickered, and his palm slapped towards Yi Chen's head. This palm carried the fury of thunder, and its speed was as fast as lightning. Even an astral-reaching paragon of the same rank would have to dodge. Yi Chen stood motionless. He didn't take out his longsword, nor did he prepare to meet the attack. Instead, he raised a finger and pointed in the air. Puff! A deep azure sword chi shot out. Under the amplification of sword intent, its speed was as fast as a shooting star. Kacha. A few arm-thick cracks appeared in the foggy palace hall, and a powerful shockwave gushed out from the entrance of the hall, creating many ravines. Dong 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 dong. Muffled footsteps were heard. The black-robed old man's palm dripped with blood as he was forcibly blown back. His face was full of shock. It had only been half a month, but Yi Chen's strength had already reached such a level. Although he didn't use an upper-grade offensive artifact just now, he believed that he could deal with Yi Chen with just his palms. After all, before obtaining an upper-grade artifact, he was already one of the strongest extreme astral reaching experts. Dozens of years of bitter cultivation had allowed his basic strength to increase without diminishing. Dealing with a young extreme astral reaching expert was a piece of cake for him. But now, he finally understood that Yi Chen's strength was not what the outside world had estimated. No wonder you dared to defy me. It turns out that you were hiding your true strength. Don't tell me you think you can act presumptuously in front of me with just this bit of strength. Recollecting his shocked expression, the black-robed old man spread out his hands. A dark blue light flickered, and two huge iron hammers appeared in his hands. These two hammers were more than a meter long, and their handles were as thick as a wrist. The heads of the hammers were two cylinders, glowing with a pitch-black metallic luster. Under the black-robed old man's Jin Yuan, the ends of the hammers burst out with sharp dark blue lightning, and an incomparably frightening might instantly spread out. Without a doubt, the iron hammers were upper-grade artifacts. A mid-grade artifact's might couldn't even compare to half of its might. Upper-grade artifact, exploding thunder hammer. Grand Elder Chen blurted out. Holding the hammer with both hands, the black-robed old man's eyes filled with killing intent as he said sinisterly, I found this upper-grade artifact in the ancient ruins. Relying on it, I've killed at least 8 extreme astral reaching experts, if not 10. You'll be the next. Thunder attribute upper-grade artifact is indeed not ordinary. Among the different types of offensive great weapons, the thunder and fire great weapons were the most overbearing, the earth great weapons were the thickest, the metal great weapons were the sharpest, and the wind great weapons could not only increase one's attack power, but could also increase one's speed. Hammer-type offensive artifacts were originally full of killing power. Coupled with the tyrannical thunder attribute, it was like adding wings to a tiger, breaking through everything. Swish! A long sword appeared in Yi Chen's left hand as he slowly said, I've never exchanged blows with an astral-reaching paragon. Today, I'll use you to sharpen my sword. How arrogant! Take my furious thunder explosion. The black-robed old man rose from the ground, and the muscles on his arms swelled up. An incomparably vigorous thunder attribute Jin Yuan poured into the exploding thunder hammer, which ferociously smashed toward Yi Chen, who was not far away. Before the hammer arrived, the ferocious hammer pressure immediately blasted away half of the hall. Berserk lightning snakes swam everywhere, pervading hundreds of meters in radius. Thunder mentality containing explosive power. Facing the black-robed old man's pair of iron hammers, Yi Chen was still in the mood to study his opponent's mentality. It was common knowledge that mentalities were divided into attributes. Apart from the natural attribute mentalities, there were many other attributes. Moreover, mentalities of the same attribute would also differ from person to person. The black-robed old man's thunder mentality contained a kind of explosive power. With a swing of the hammer, the powerful hammer pressure instantly blasted away half of the hall. It was even more offensive than the ordinary thunder mentality. My sky-shattering clouds contains an intense explosive power. Let's see whose thunder mentality is a notch higher. Clang! Unsheathing the thunder sword, Yi Chen held it with one hand and swung out. The sword swinging speed was full of explosive power, causing the void to tremble. Peng 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 peng, thunderous explosions resounded. In a short period of time, Yi Chen and the black-robed old man exchanged dozens of blows. Each time, they adopted a head-on stance, neither giving way to the other. Finally, the entire foggy hall could no longer endure the exchange of blows and shattered into thousands of pieces, scattering in every direction. Who is fighting in the foggy hall? The numerous Grand Elders and Elders of Bewilderment Fog Island were startled, their faces filled with shock. Soon after, they all rushed in the direction of the exchange. Sub-Island Master's residence. Sub-Island Master Wang raised his head and slightly creased his brows. Among the auras exchanging blows, one was unexpectedly Bewilderment Fog Island's Island Master, while the other was somewhat unfamiliar. He seemed to have seen it before, yet also seemed to have never seen it before. In terms of basic strength, Island Master and I are more or less the same. However, Island Master has two upper-grade artifacts. One is the Exploding Thunder Hammer, and the other is the defensive artifact Golden Armor. With this golden armor, even if Sub-Island Master Chui and I joined hands, it would still be difficult to break through his defense. Therefore, Island Master is him, not me or Sub-Island Master Chui. This person can fight evenly with Island Master, so his strength is not below mine. Unfortunately, Island Master is innately undefeatable. Swish! Sub-Island Master Wang's feet moved, soaring into the sky. In another Sub-Island Master's residence, Sub-Island Master Chui woke up from his cultivation. With a wave of his palm, the door opened, and his body streaked across the horizon like a blade light. The residences of Sub-Island Master, Grand Elders, and Elders weren't far from the foggy hall. In a short period of time, apart from those who were out on business, all the higher-ups of Bewilderment Fog Island had arrived. Everyone's gaze fell on the center of the foggy hall, which had been raised to the ground. Immediately, they were dumbstruck. The one fighting with Island Master was unexpectedly Yi Chen, who had become a Grand Elder some time ago. This kid has eaten a leopard's gall, daring to fight with Island Master. A middle-aged Grand Elder said. Grand Elder Sun's gaze was filled with schadenfreude. I told you this kid wasn't anything good. Seems like the position of Grand Elder can't satisfy him, and he has his eyes set on the position of Island Master. He doesn't know how to write the word death. Swish! Swish! Sub-Island Master Wang and Sub-Island Master Chui arrived. Sub-Island Master. Everyone cupped their hands towards the two. Sub-Island Master Wang said, "Do you know what happened? We just arrived as well." Nodding, Sub-Island Master Wang's gaze fell on the black-robed old man, then he shifted his gaze. This time, he was shocked. Forcing Island Master to use the explosive Thunder Hammer, this strength is no less than yours or mine. Hearing this, Sub-Island Master Chui said solemnly, he still has some strength left. Still has strength left. Sub-Island Master Wang was quite surprised. If these words came from someone else, he would not believe them. But Sub-Island Master Chui was a saber expert, and his eyesight was the sharpest. Naturally, he would not speak carelessly. Gradually, the many Grand Elders and Elders also saw some clues. After fighting for such a long time, Island Master still hadn't gained the upper hand. Could it be that this kid's strength could already contend against Island Master? Impossible, Island Master hasn't used his killing move yet. Elder's son immediately denied. Indeed, it's not that there haven't been experts who exchanged a few moves with Island Master in the past, but once Island Master used his killing move, none of them survived. This kid is no exception. Hee, let's see how he dies. Sub-Island Master Wang also shook his head, too reckless. Not only had Island Master not used his killing move, he hadn't even activated his golden armor. Even if Yi Chen's strength was exceedingly high, he still couldn't do anything to Island Master. After fighting for a long time, the black-robed old man's mood started to become irritable. He roared, "Good, you're the third person to be able to exchange so many moves with me in dozens of years. But the next move will take your dog life." Thunder Lion Transformation. Cracking the ground with one foot, the black-robed old man soared into the sky and raised his iron hammer high above his head. Violent thunderbolts gathered at the hammer's head, constantly compressing and mixing, quickly condensing into a lion bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws. The lion roared, and a terrifying pressure covered the heaven and earth. Bang! The two hammers suddenly smashed down, and the thunder lion rushed out, diving towards Yi Chen. Green lotus sprout. Putting the thunder sword back into its scabbard, the greenwood sword unsheathed. Still holding the sword with one hand, Yi Chen swung it, and the sword light surged, meeting the thunder lion head-on. Puff! 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 Like fireworks exploding, the thunder lion was drowned in the sword light. However, this move was, after all, the black-robed old man's killing move, which contained an extremely condensed thunder power. As the sword light came into contact with it, it immediately dimmed. But in the next moment, the dimmed sword light exploded with an even more frightening power, going from weak to strong. Not only did it tear apart the thunder lion's body, a beam of sword light even pierced through the lion's forehead. Chapter 375. The Thunder Lion transformation has been broken. Impossible. This attack contains 20% of my power. No one in the astral reaching realm would be able to break it. There must be something wrong, it must be. Brat, go die. Thunder Lion 100 Fission. The black-robed old man's face was full of disbelief. His Thunder Lion transformation had killed countless people, but it had never been broken in a direct confrontation. His face twisted as he furiously roared. The twin hammers vibrated, and thunder crackled. Another Thunder Lion rushed out, exploding into countless palm-sized lightning balls. The lightning balls shot out like rain, enveloping Yi Chen within. Unparalleled astral reaching strength is only a so-so. Yi Chen had a rough idea of the black-robed old man's bottom line. Without changing his sword move, his sword aura soared into the sky. With a slash, the lightning balls in the sky were instantly annihilated. Pang! The incomparably sharp sword Qi tore through the void and slashed at the black-robed old man's body, blasting him 1,000 meters away. Island Master has been defeated. Am I seeing things? Breaking Island Master's killing move with one sword. Even the Vice Island Master couldn't do it. Could it be that we misjudged him? This kid is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. As the Island Master was blasted away, the surroundings became deathly silent. In the next moment, a clamor of discussion spread out, accompanied by the sound of people sucking in cold breaths. Grand Elder Sun clenched his fists, his veins popping out. He didn't believe that Yi Chen had such strength. Previously, although he had fallen into a disadvantageous position, it would have taken at least several hundred moves to decide the victor. How many days had it been? The opponent's battle power couldn't have reached such a realm. Don't argue, Island Master won't lose. Grand Elder Sun shouted. Sub-Island Master Wang and Sub-Island Master Cui exchanged a glance. The two could see the graveness in each other's eyes, an unconcealable graveness. Whether the Island Master had gone all out or not, they were the clearest. However, even the Island Master couldn't resist Yi Chen's attack. Without a doubt, Yi Chen's battle power had already surpassed theirs. A several-meter-wide and 1,000-meter-long ravine was plowed out of the palace, practically splitting the palace into two. At the end of the ravine, dust and lightning surged. Huff! A scorching gale swept up the smoke and dust. The figure of the black-robed old man stood there. His body was filled with a layer of golden light, and the golden light was filled with electric currents. Raising his head, the black-robed old man looked at Yi Chen in the distance. I have to admit that you're the most powerful astral-reaching expert I've ever met. But, if you want to defeat me, it won't be that easy. The reason I was able to sit on the Island Master's seat is not only because of my exploding thunder hammer, but also because of this golden armor on my body, an upper-grade defensive artifact. No one under Sea of Soul realm can break through my defense, and neither can you. A high-grade defensive artifact, the Golden Armor. The Island Lord actually has two high-grade artifacts, one for offense and one for defense. From the looks of it, this brat is dead for sure. So what if his battle prowess is stronger than the Island Lord's? With the defense of the Golden Armor, the Island Lord can slowly torture him to death. That's right. A high-grade defensive prized artifact can increase one's defense by 70 to 80%. Compared to the young Yi Chen, everyone was more willing to obey the black-robed elder's management. Perhaps this was a subtle jealousy, and the happiest person was Eminent Elder Sunday, a high-grade defensive artifact, the Golden Armor. Very well, I'll take it. Yi Chen wasn't too interested in the black-robed elder's explosion thunder hammer. He didn't expect that apart from the explosion thunder hammer, the elder also had a golden armor. Nonsense. With the golden armor on me, I'm innately invincible. You have no hope at all. Thunder Lion 100 Fission. The black-robed elder didn't fear Yi Chen's attack at all. His figure rushed out in a straight line, and along the way, the explosion thunder hammer crazily smashed towards Yi Chen. This was the stance of exchanging a life for a life. Of course, the black-robed elder didn't care. Then let me see how hard your tortoise shell is. The ancient long sword above the Sea of Soul vibrated, and the sky-tearing sword intent surged violently under Vice Island Lord Chui's shocked gaze. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen held the greenwood sword and slashed out. Clang, clang, clang. The sword intent contained in this sword was too strong, causing all the broken objects in the surroundings to be affected by the sword intent, shooting towards the black-robed elder. Even some elders with lower willpower were affected by the sword intent, and the artifacts in their hands shook violently. Dong! The menacing black-robed elder was blasted away, blood leaking out from the corner of his mouth. The frightening sword chi, even through the golden armor's defense, still brought him considerable injuries. Even the upper-grade artifacts seemed to be of no use. Break! Taking the second step, Yi Chen waved the second sword. This sword was even more powerful than the first. Blood flowed from the black-robed elder's 7 apertures, and his hair was scattered. With the third sword, the black-robed elder finally spurted out a mouthful of blood. Ah! The black-robed elder roared, his heart filled with fear. Go! All of you, go! Kill him together! Go! At this very moment, the pressure that Yi Chen brought to the black-robed elder was unbearable. He understood that if this continued, even with the golden armor's protection, he would still be shaken to death. This young man, who seemed to be in his 20s, had shattered his understanding, shattering the undefeatable iron rule of astral-reaching paragons. He was just like Xianhou back then, disregarding the rules, disregarding everything. Any normal theory would no longer be effective against her. However, Yi Chen was another case. Island Master has asked us to act. Should we? Even the Island Master has lost. Would it be effective for us to go up? If we can't kill him, once he returns, we'll all die. Grand Elder Sun sucked in a deep breath. Everyone, don't be afraid. His attacks are only a bit powerful. He doesn't have an upper-grade artifact on him. If we attack together, we won't be afraid of not being able to kill him. We have more than 100 people. Killing him will be a piece of cake. Seems reasonable. Kill. Kill. Among the crowd, nearly half of them charged out. The remaining ones either had some apprehensions or planned to observe the situation. There were also some who simply wanted to watch the show and didn't intend to act. Brother Chui. Sub-Island Master Wang looked at Sub-Island Master Chui. Sub-Island Master Chui indifferently said, if you want to act, then do it. I won't act. Hee, I won't either. With Grand Elder Sun in the lead, dozens of people brandished their weapons and attacked Yi Chen from all directions. A chaotic and frightening aura converged together, shaking the surrounding 100 li. Yi Chen sneered. Before his sword intent had progressed, he might have been apprehensive of being surrounded. But now, as long as he didn't want to, nobody could surround him. Shoo! Who said that sword intent could only increase one's attacking power? Yi Chen's entire body was filled with sword intent as his speed surpassed his previous limits. With a flicker, he had left the encirclement. Green lotus chi, floating corpses everywhere. The greenwood sword streaked in front of him, shattering the huge green lotus. Dense sword chi spread out in a fan shape, covering all the grand elders and elders of Bewilderment Fog Island. Shoo 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 shoo, the sword chi containing the frightening sword intent was unstoppable. Wherever it swept through, people would fall down. Protective Zhen Yuan, mid-grade artifacts, all of them were like floating clouds. One blink, only one blink, more than half of the dozens of people who had charged up were gone. The remaining ones were all wounded and had frightened expressions. Yi Chen didn't give them any time to regret. He used the most tyrannical move of the Green Lotus sword art, Green Lotus Mountain Splitter. The sky-high sword light swept across the sky, throwing away the corpses. Run! The survivors regretted so much that their intestines turned green. Who the hell said that killing him would be easy? This kid was definitely a freak. Group attacks were ineffective. Unless a large number of extreme astral-reaching experts surrounded him and attacked him together, no matter how many people came, they would all be vegetables. Sub-Island Master Wang, save me. One person charged toward Sub-Island Master Wang and Sub-Island Master Chui, hoping to obtain their protection. Sub-Island Master Wang shook his head and dodged. Sub-Island Master Chui was even more straightforward. With a wave of his blade, a figure was cut in half. Seeing this, the Grand Elders and Elders who didn't participate in the battle sucked in a breath of cold air. Even the two Sub-Island Masters had rebelled. Fortunately, they weren't hot-headed. You two actually dared to betray me. The black-robed old man didn't expect Sub-Island Master Chui to be so ruthless and directly kill the person who had begged for help. Sub-Island Master Chui coldly said, "When did I pledge allegiance to you? You've been the island master for so many years. It's time for you to step down." "Good, very good. You'd better remember this. The day I return, none of you will live." After saying these words, the black-robed old man wanted to escape. Swoosh! Sub-Island Master Chui blocked the black-robed old man's path and said to Sub-Island Master Wang, "Don't let him escape. You know the consequences." Sub-Island Master Wang sighed. His figure flashed and blocked the black-robed old man's path. "You better stay." The black-robed old man's face turned green, and his body trembled. How could this be? Grand Elder Sun didn't expect the situation to turn out like this. He glanced at Yi Chen with a venomous look. All of this was because of him. Stealthily, Grand Elder Sun flew into the distance. Yi Chen sneered. He extended his left index finger and pointed at the air. A green lotus sword chi shot out from his finger and instantly pierced through Grand Elder Sun's forehead. In a short time, everyone who participated in the battle was killed. The only one left was the island master, the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man fought fiercely with Sub-Island Master Wang and Sub-Island Master Chui. The three's battle power was equal, and the black-robed old man's defense was much stronger than the other two. For a moment, no one could do anything to the other. Green Lotus Sky reaching. A beam of sword light shattered the black-robed old man's defense, and the sword chi tore off one of his arms. The attacker was indeed Yi Chen. Up until now, he still hadn't used all of his power. He felt that there was no need to reveal all of it, since it would be too shocking. Even so, the fact that Yi Chen could break through the black-robed old man's defense still made Sub-Island Master Wang and Sub-Island Master Chui sigh in admiration. The power of an upper-grade defensive artifact was something they knew very well. Previously, they had also battled with the black-robed old man. Boom boom boom. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the two sub-island masters attacked even more fiercely, causing the black-robed old man to continuously puke blood. Swoosh! After the sword light passed, a fist-sized green lotus rapidly enlarged in front of the black-robed old man. His originally chaotic protective Jin Yuan only lasted for a moment before it shattered with a swoosh, and a bloody hole appeared on his forehead. Blood splashed out, dyeing the black-robed old man red. You won't have a good ending. The reverse 9-turn spirit grass is not something you can keep. The last sentence contained all of the black-robed old man's Jin Yuan, which spread out in all directions. Chuckling, the black-robed old man fell on his back. Chapter 376. Yi Chen's face turned gloomy. Just now, when the black-robed old man roared, the number of people on Bewilderment Fog Island must have been at least 800,000, if not 1,000,000. He was sure that the black-robed old man didn't dare to confirm that he had the 9-turn spirit grass. At most, he would be suspicious. However, his goal was precisely to make everyone suspicious. At that time, regardless of whether he had it or not, it would be hard for him to clear his name. Even in death, this old man wouldn't let him have an easy time. Yi Chen didn't need to look to feel the strange gazes coming from all directions, including the two deputy island masters who had just joined hands with him. Grand Elder Yi, no, Brother Yi, do you really have the 9-turn spirit grass? Deputy Island Master Wang asked. Yi Chen shot a glance at him. This Deputy Island Master Wang had given him a good impression. Unfortunately, as long as one was a martial artist, there was no one who didn't want to become powerful. He said indifferently, if I said I do or don't, would you believe me? Deputy Island Master Wang paused. Indeed, it wasn't important whether he had it or not. What was important was whether others believed him or not. Those who believed him would naturally think he had it, and those who didn't would naturally think he didn't. Unless Yi Chen had some way to prove that he didn't have it, or directly took out the 9-turn spirit grass and said he had it. Whether you have it or not has nothing to do with us. Deputy Island Master Chui retracted his gaze. He was very clear that even if he had it, it wouldn't be their turn. I have no interest in the position of Island Master. If any of you are interested, then go ahead. Yi Chen peeled off the shining golden armor from the black-robed old man's body and took off his storage ring, then said to the two without turning his head. Deputy Island Master Wang could also see that Yi Chen had no interest in the position of Island Master. After all, who didn't know that he was the #1 expert of Bewilderment Fog Island? It didn't matter whether he became the Island Master or not. As for why he wanted to become a Grand Elder, it should be because he was afraid of trouble. Brother Chui, you and I are both Island Masters. How about it? I have no objection. Night arrived, and dense fog shrouded Bewilderment Fog Island. Inside the spacious room, a golden light pervaded the air. The light came from the golden armor in Yi Chen's hand. Golden armor, a metal-attributed high-rank defensive treasure. Its value is immeasurable. A good defensive artifact was much more valuable than an attacking one. In the true spirit continent, life was the most important. Without life, everything would be meaningless. But, it was also because of this that top-rank defensive artifacts were very troublesome. Astral-reaching realm warriors would not be able to keep them. Only Sea of Souls realm warriors would have the power to do so, and not every Sea of Souls realm warrior would have a top-rank defensive artifact. For a top-rank defensive artifact, it would be unavoidable for them to kill each other. Fortunately, outside of the bewildering fog forbidden zone, no one knew that Yi Chen had an upper-rank defensive treasure, the gold armor. Once he got out, it would save him a lot of trouble, and in a critical moment, the gold armor could be a life-saving item. In a life-and-death situation, who would care about the consequences of exposing an upper-rank defensive treasure? Break. The green lotus true essence poured into the golden armor. Not only did it expel the remaining true essence of the black-robed old man, but it also completely annihilated his aura. However, after putting it on, Yi Chen still felt a bit uncomfortable. Scanning the gold armor with his soul power, Yi Chen soon discovered a problem. This gold armor had the black-robed old man's spiritual imprint, and it was precisely because of this that he found it difficult to use. Removing the spiritual imprint was too easy for Yi Chen. His sword will entered and cleanly erased the spiritual imprint. So, an upper-rank artifact still needs to have its own spiritual imprint. Only by doing so can the pressure of the artifact be restrained. Referring to the black-robed old man's spiritual imprint, Yi Chen imprinted his own spiritual imprint. Under the control of his mind, the gold armor's radiance gradually retracted, no longer emitting a trace of fluctuation. Wearing it under his clothes, no one would be able to tell that it was an upper-rank artifact. Ignoring the other upper-rank artifact, the Thunder Hammer, Yi Chen's attention fell on the black-robed old man's storage ring. Inside the storage ring, 500,000 mid-grade spirit stones. 5 million low-grade spirit stones. Apart from that, there were hundreds of upper-rank spirit stones. The top-rank spirit stones contained extremely pure yuan qi, so pure that one didn't need to refine it and could directly absorb it. Of course, this was only for astral reaching realm warriors. Once one reached the Sea of Souls realm, the Zhen Yuan would no longer be as simple as being pure. Hundreds of upper-rank spirit stones should be enough for my cultivation base to improve. But, if I want to accumulate enough to reach the peak of late astral reaching realm, this is still not enough. Besides the spirit stones, there were also a lot of martial arts manuals in the storage ring. There were 4 high-rank Earth Realm manuals, dozens of mid-rank Earth Realm manuals, and a top-rank Earth Realm Hammer Art manual called Thunder Beast Transformation. Thunder Beast Transformation only had 4 transformations, which was very little compared to the 9 movements of the Green Lotus Sword Art. Each transformation could condense a beast shape. The first transformation was a bear, the second was a leopard, the third was a lion, and the fourth was a bird. Obviously, the black-robed old man had only trained to the third transformation, Thunder Lion Transformation. Although it is a hammer art, it contains the thunder mentality, which is quite useful for me to comprehend the thunder mentality. The night was deep, and the world was quiet. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the entire Bewilderment Fog Island was discussing Yi Chen and the 9-turn spirit grass. In a restaurant, a few astral reaching experts gathered together and discussed in low voices. Did you hear? Island Master was killed by the newly appointed Grand Elder. Before dying, Island Master said that Yi Chen had the 9-turn spirit grass. 9-turn spirit grass. Hearing these words, one of them cried out. Right, it's the 9-turn spirit grass that can increase one's lifespan by 9 years and strengthen one's soul. I don't need to tell you the importance of the soul. Of course, the soul is the carrier of the will. The stronger the soul, the easier it will be to advance to the Sea of Souls realm. Soon, the news of Yi Chen possessing the 9-turn spirit grass spread throughout the entire island. There was almost no one who didn't know. Walking on the street, Yi Chen listened to the voices transmitted through his soul power and inwardly shook his head. There were too many people who knew, and it was impossible to control them. Forget it, let it spread. Bewilderment Fog Island was isolated from the rest of the world. As long as one's luck wasn't too bad, the chances of this news reaching the outside world was close to 0. Otherwise, the island master wouldn't have brought along 2 upper-grade artifacts and planned to stay here, waiting for the opportunity to break through to the Sea of Souls realm. It's time to leave Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Raising his head, Yi Chen's gaze pierced through the city, falling on the extremely distant dense fog region. At this moment, Yi Chen could finally confirm that the key to leaving Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone was will. Indeed, will. The stronger the will, the harder it was to be affected by Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Those with weak will, no matter what method they used, could only circle around inside. The problem was that Yi Chen didn't know whether his will was strong enough or not. It should be known that Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone was a place that even Sea of Souls realm experts wouldn't be willing to enter. His current will was equivalent to an ordinary Sea of Souls realm sword artist. Sword artists always had firm wills, and were a bit stronger than ordinary Sea of Souls realm martial artists. Moreover, his soul was what he relied on. He was sure that the majority of Sea of Souls realm experts couldn't be stronger than him in terms of soul. This was his advantage. Powerful soul, powerful will. There should be some hope. Chapter 377. The next day. Yi Chen didn't inform anyone and entered the dense fog alone. Amidst the thick fog, Yi Chen floated in the air with the perceptive ball in his left hand. The perceptive ball is shining with an orange light. I should be almost 800 li away from Bewilderment Fog Island, and 1000 li away from the large perceptive tower. If Bewilderment Fog Island happens to be in the center of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, then I'm about half of 30,000 li away from the edge. Subtracting 1000 li from that, it would be 14,000 li. 14,000 li, ah. My soul power can only radiate 47 li in the fog. In other words, I'll have to use my soul power 300 times. If there's a huge deviation in any one of them, all my efforts would be wasted. However, traveling 47 li in one go is countless times more effective than traveling 14,000 li without a plan. With the strength of my will, the influence won't be too great, and the deviation can be controlled to a small extent. However, traveling 14,000 li is something that the majority of Sea of Soul realm experts wouldn't be able to endure, and would get lost midway. Let's begin. Putting away the perceptive ball, Yi Chen closed his eyes and a powerful soul power radiated out from his forehead, traveling along the fog until 47 li away. Without opening his eyes, Yi Chen's Jin Yuan erupted as he flew at an extreme speed. After 20 breaths, here. Following the same pattern, Yi Chen's soul power radiated another 47 li away, making it the second destination in a straight line. Third destination. 10th destination. Third destination. The edge of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone still seems very far away. Perhaps, it's more than 14,000 li from the starting point to the edge. After all, the entire Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone has an irregular shape. Some places are longer, while others are shorter. Let's persevere for a while more. 320th destination, 400 destination, 500 destination, damn, wrong. 500 times of positioning, 47 li for each. 500 times would be 23,500 li. If there were no deviation, I would have left long ago. Although Yi Chen had already prepared himself for failure, the cruelty of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone still made him smile bitterly. I wonder where I am in the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone now. One wrong step really leads to all the wrong steps. There was no time to be depressed. 500 moves did not take much time, adding up to only 3.5 hours. Yi Chen planned to continue flying in a straight line, because no matter how long the distance was, as long as it was a straight line, there would be a chance to get out. He did not believe that he would not be lucky even once. The large water leak told Yi Chen that a month had passed. In the past month, he had used his soul power to locate the target 180,000 times. Every day, out of the 24 hours, 20 hours were spent flying. Of the remaining 4 hours, 2 hours were spent absorbing the energy from the top-rank spirit stones, and 2 hours were spent resting. During this period, he coincidentally returned to Bewilderment Fog Island 11 times. What was certain was that the closer one was to Bewilderment Fog Island, the less affected one was. The closer one was to the edge of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, the more affected one was. Being able to return to Bewilderment Fog Island 11 times was a good proof. Thinking about it, even Sea of Soul realm experts have to rely on luck to get out. If they are lucky, they can get out in a short time. If they are unlucky, it would not be an exaggeration to say that they would be stuck inside for 3 to 5 years. However, as long as you persevere, luck will come to you. Swish! Yi Chen's figure pierced through the dense fog. Another month passed. Bang! Earthen yellow fist shadows burst forth, raising huge waves on the lake's surface. Damn it! It's been 2 months. Could it be that my method was wrong from the start? Relying on will alone is impossible to get out. Perhaps, my will is not enough. For astral reaching experts, 2 months was nothing more than a single session of seclusion, which could pass in the blink of an eye. However, it was different now. During this period, Yi Chen had been flying again and again, calculating again and again, repeating the same boring behavior. If there was a time limit, Yi Chen wouldn't be so upset and sullen. The crucial point was that he didn't know how long he would have to endure such days. The sullen feeling in his heart finally erupted, and it was a huge one at that. Bang! 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 The lake's surface of dozens of li was riddled with holes, raising huge waves that reached thousands of meters high. Many demonic beasts were shaken to death at the bottom of the lake. After venting his anger, Yi Chen gasped for breath. No, I don't even believe in myself anymore. What sword Dao is there to cultivate? The further I go, the more difficult it gets. It seems like my strength is there, but my mental state is not there yet. Usually, I think I'm very calm, unfazed even if the sky collapses. But, when it comes to a true test of will, I'm actually no good. Oh well, this time, I'm not only looking for a way out, but also tempering my mental state. Yi Chen's terror lay in his ability to reflect in time. If it were an ordinary person, they would only be tangled in the problem of leaving the forbidden zone. However, Yi Chen could jump out and find his own problem. Buzz! A spacious wooden board flew out of the storage ring and landed on the lake. Yi Chen sat cross-legged on the board and calmed his mind. Any tribulation is a test for me. Any setback will allow me to reach a higher level. Any obstacle will be an opportunity for me to improve. Turning all favorable and unfavorable things into my own. This is my will, my spirit, my sword Dao. In the dense fog, the young man started his first mental state transformation. Of course, the transformation had just begun. Whether he could break through or not, he could only rely on himself. The 3rd month, failure. The 4th month, failure. The 5th month was about to begin. During this period of time, Yi Chen had been dispirited, lacking in confidence, persevering, comprehending, and reflecting. Every time he pulled himself together, Yi Chen felt like his spirit had gone through a baptism and a tempering. His sword Dao will had become sharper and indestructible. The 5th month, the 7th day, Yi Chen continued to fly, his eyes resolute. Feng Yanro, you've been chasing me for 3 months, and you still haven't given up. Above the boundless lake, 2 figures were 7 to 8 li apart, one in front and one behind. The one speaking was the middle-aged man in front. He was tall and thin, wearing a long robe. As he flew, his whole body seemed to have turned into the wind. Under the wind's escort, his speed was as fast as a ghost. The one chasing him was a young woman in her 20s, wearing a snow-white dress with a long sword at her waist. Her fine black hair was like a waterfall, and her eyes were like stars. Her ice-cold expression carried a kind of breathtaking beauty. What was especially eye-catching was the snowflake pattern on her forehead, appearing exceptionally holy and gorgeous. She said with a clear voice, "Gao Qianhe, the matter of you killing my junior sister won't end like this. Even if I have to spend a year, I'll kill you with my own hands." Humph. Chase me then. Although my strength is not as high as yours, in terms of agility technique, no one in the astral reaching realm can compare to me. The young woman called Feng Yanro creased her brows. The opposite party was right. Although her agility technique was exceptional, this Gao Qianhe's agility technique was even more frightening. His comprehension was also not to be underestimated, as he had actually comprehended wind mentality and soft mentality to the extreme. With the two mentalities superimposed together, his speed had already reached an unimaginable level. If not for her vigorous Xin Yuan and a secret skill that could increase her speed, she would have long since been left behind. Even so, he had still escaped several times in these 2 months. Fortunately, she was quite well versed in the art of tracking, and caught up again. Indeed, if nothing unexpected happens, I will never be able to catch up to you. However, I can endure this kind of life. Can you endure being chased for a long time? Gao Qianhe was furious. After being chased for 3 months, Gao Qianhe had long since been exhausted. Not only was his body exhausted, but his spirit was also the most painful. As he thought up to this point, he regretted not killing his junior sister at the beginning. As for this matter, it had to start from 3 months ago. Gao Qianhe cultivated a rather evil martial art, and his desires were extremely great. One day, he encountered Feng Yanrou's junior sister in a remote area. His heart filled with evil intentions, and after injuring her, he wanted to have sex with her. But, how could he have known that the other party had used some unknown secret technique to contact Feng Yanrou, and had ambushed him at the most unexpected time? Gao Qianhe tangled with her for a while, and in the end, killed her out of anger. However, just as he killed her, Feng Yanrou arrived. Feng Yanrou was only 22 or 23 years old, but her martial arts were extremely high. It was said that among the young generation of Misty Snow region, she was at least in the top 5. As for which of the top 5, nobody knew. After dozens of moves, Gao Qianhe was no match for Feng Yanrou, and fled in defeat. What followed was a chase that lasted for 3 months. Flying snow connecting the sky. From 7 to 8 li away, Feng Yanrou pulled out the long sword at her waist and slashed in the air. An ice-cold sword chi swirled up a sky-filling snowflakes as it chopped toward Gao Qianhe. The sword intent contained within made Gao Qianhe's scalp go numb, and his speed unknowingly increased. Gotcha! The sword chi didn't manage to hit Gao Qianhe, but the lake water below him froze. A nearly 300 zhang long sword scar was imprinted on the layer of ice, looking very ghastly. Damn it, this girl's sword Dao cultivation is too frightening. I'm absolutely not her opponent. I'm afraid that in the entire Misty Snow region, there won't be an astral reaching realm sword artist more powerful than her. Gao Qianhe inwardly rejoiced, and subconsciously looked into the distance. That's the fog area. I might have a chance to escape. Dozens of li away, the thick fog covered the sky and covered the sun. It was hard to tell how wide it was, and how high it was. It was the perfect place to escape. Not good. There's actually a fog area above the Star Regional Lake. Feng Yanrou's brows creased. 30 li 20 li. When Gao Qianhe was only 20 li away from the fog, a long roar came from within, and a blue silhouette rushed out. It was a youngster. Finally out. Yi Qin raised his head to look at the sky. The warm sunlight sprinkled on his body, making him feel exceptionally gentle. On the 7th day of the 5th month, Yi Qin broke the iron rule of the Forbidden Zone, and smoothly walked out with an astral-reaching realm cultivation base. If this were to spread out, who knew what consequences it would bring? However, none of this was important. What was important was that he had finally left that damned place. As he thought of this, Yi Qin couldn't help but rejoice at his perseverance. Without the perseverance of the previous 4 months, the possibility of him walking out would be close to zero. He reckoned that those Sea of Soul realm experts who had fallen into the Forbidden Zone might not have been able to persevere for too long. After all, Sea of Soul realm experts surpassed Yi Qin in terms of speed, and had certain advantages. Is this person being chased? Quite fast. Feng Yanrou and Gao Qianhe's pursuit was too eye-catching. It would be hard for Yi Chen not to notice it. Please help me stop him, please. From far away, Feng Yanro circulated her Jinyuan, and her voice was transmitted to Yi Chen at a frightening speed. Actually, she didn't think Yi Chen could stop Gao Qianhe, but he only needed 2 breaths of time. 2 breaths of time, and she would be able to catch up with all her strength. At that time, she would be well prepared, and she would absolutely not let Gao Qianhe escape. Bewilderment fog forbidden zone only allows one to enter, but not leave. Since this person has entered, it's almost impossible to track him. Help her stop him. In any case, it won't take much effort. According to his soul power, Yi Chen roughly estimated that Gao Qianhe was an extreme astral reaching expert, and so was Feng Yanro. However, the latter was much stronger, and should be one of the top existences among extreme astral reaching experts. Of course, it didn't mean much to him. A brat wants to stop me? Dream on. Shadow shift godly art. Gao Qianhe's body suddenly paused, and an astonishing scene occurred. Behind Yi Chen, another Gao Qianhe appeared. 2 Gao Qianhe appeared in front and behind of Yi Chen, making it impossible to tell which one was real and which one was fake. Even Yi Chen was instantly mesmerized. Seeing this, Feng Yanro could only smile bitterly. Asking him to stop Gao Qianhe, whose movement technique was exceptional, was indeed too difficult. She couldn't blame him. Chapter 378. Is that so? Not necessarily. Since he had decided to help Feng Yanro block Gao Qianhe, Yi Chen wouldn't give up halfway. Gao Qianhe's movement technique was indeed exceptional. Yi Chen had never seen a second person in the astral reaching realm with such accomplishments. However, the ultimate goal of movement techniques was nothing more than speed. Yi Chen had the fast mentality and the sword intent of a Sea of Soul realm sword artist. His speed had already reached an unimaginable level. With a flicker, he tore through the air. Swish! A beam of blue light shot out as Yi Chen arrived in front of Gao Qianhe's true body. How is this possible? Gao Qianhe was greatly astonished. His shadow shift technique was a top-rank Earth realm movement technique. Under his full speed, any encirclement would be rendered useless. Feng Yanro had failed to kill him several times precisely because of this technique. Moreover, ordinary people would only be distracted by his fake body, which would waste a lot of time. However, not only did Yi Chen react immediately, he even arrived first with a frightening speed. How could he not be astonished? Feng Yanro was similarly astonished. Originally, she didn't expect Yi Chen to be able to block Gao Qianhe. Who would have thought that Yi Chen would have such a supreme skill? Let's see how you're going to block me. Not wanting to tangle with Yi Chen, Gao Qianhe once again used the shadow shift technique. The void was filled with illusions, and his true body rapidly turned into a fake body. Trying to accurately identify him was extremely difficult. Yi Chen faintly smiled. Within the range of his soul power, Gao Qianhe's true body had nowhere to hide. His every movement trajectory was crystal clear. Just like the first time, Yi Chen appeared in front of Gao Qianhe once again, long sword already hanging on his waist. Courting death. Mist rope blade. Gao Qianhe flew into a rage out of humiliation, containing a trace of fear. In terms of movement technique, he had completely lost. But, so what? As long as he killed the other, all his problems would be easily solved. With a wave of his right hand, a rope-like Jinyuan blade coiled out. Everything within several hundred meters was within its range. Green lotus seizing beauty. The long sword blocked, and a huge green lotus wrapped around Yi Chen. Clang 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 clang, the rope blade cut the green lotus thousands of times, but the defense of the green lotus was far beyond Gao Qianhe's imagination. Apart from leaving some marks on its surface, he didn't gain anything. Damn it, why is this kid so troublesome? No matter how stupid Gao Qianhe was, he knew that Yi Chen was no ordinary person. It was practically impossible to deal with him in a short time. "Little brother, there is no enmity between us. Why must you make things difficult for me? Let me go and I will definitely repay you in the future." Since the hard approach didn't work, he resorted to the soft approach. Of course, Gao Qianhe didn't really intend to repay Yi Chen generously. Once he got out of this predicament, he wanted Yi Chen to die without a burial. Yi Chen said, "I still don't know the cause of this matter. How about this? Don't run away. Let's have a good talk here. We'll know who's in the right and who's in the wrong. I guarantee that if you're not in the wrong, I'll keep you alive." Arrogant. Who do you think you are? Die. Gao Qianhe knew that he was in the wrong, so how could he give up on running away? A strange long whip had appeared in his right hand. This whip was different from the others, with many whips extending from its handle. They looked like the tentacles of an octopus as they lashed at Yi Chen. Crack, crack, crack. Countless whips tore through the void, forming a dense black mass. Green Lotus Sky. To deal with such a large area of effect attack, one had to use the Green Lotus Sky sword move. The air in front of him was frozen, and the speed of the whips suddenly decreased as if they were stuck in a swamp. Yi Chen didn't counterattack, but waited for Feng Yanro to arrive. Gao Qianhe was on the verge of tears. "Motherfucker. If not for the powerful pursuer behind me, I would have skinned you alive even if I had to risk my life." So, knowing that he couldn't do anything to Yi Chen, Gao Qianhe lashed out with his whip. Without waiting for the attack to land, he quickly retreated and fled diagonally. The two had exchanged blows for less than 2 breaths of time. For ordinary people, it was a short time, but for an expert of Feng Yanro's level, it was more than enough. "Gao Qianhe, let's see where you can run now." A white frost-like sword chi streaked across the sky, brushing past Gao Qianhe's protective Zhen Yuan. Kacha. His protective Zhen Yuan froze, and Gao Qianhe's eyes were spitting fire as he took a step back. Feng Yanro had caught up to him, and the distance between them was less than 100 meters. "Feng Yanro, do you really think that you can kill me so easily?" Gao Qianhe gave up on escaping, and his eyes were filled with hostility. Feng Yanro tenderly scolded, "Whether or not I can kill you is my problem. Now, don't even think about escaping. I would like to see how powerful the most frightening young sword artist of Misty Snow region in 100 years is. If you want to kill me, Gao Qianhe, you have to pay a price." Previously, he had fled because Feng Yanro was too strong, and he was no match for her. However, part of the reason was that he didn't want to fight to the point where both sides would suffer. He knew that if he were to fight to the death, his ending wouldn't be too good. Flying Snow Sky. Without another word, Feng Yanro raised her longsword, and the air was torn apart. A bone-chilling sword chi swirled up a sky-filling snowflakes and swept toward Gao Qianhe. Roar. Chaotic Mist Blade. The wind mentality and the soft mentality complemented each other, allowing Gao Qianhe's whip arts to contain the speed and cutting power of wind, as well as the ingenuity of being soft and unyielding. Dozens of long whips were thrown out like a blooming flower, each of them capable of instantly killing a peak astral-reaching expert. Ding ding dang dang. Feng Yanro's sword chi was exceptionally cold and indestructible, turning the area around Gao Qianhe into a world of ice and frost, restricting his speed. Gao Qianhe's long whips also caused the air around Feng Yanro to become chaotic. From time to time, a long whip would be stretched taut, piercing toward Feng Yanro's protective Zhen Yuan. Flicking away the long whip, Feng Yanro stepped on an ice flower, looking like an ice fairy from the heavenly palace. Her sword contained a peerless sword intent as it pierced out. Puff! A straight crack appeared in the void, and in the next moment, a sword hole appeared on Gao Qianhe's shoulder. The blood spurting out was instantly sealed in ice. What a sharp sword Dao! The coldness contains killing intent. It seems to be leaning towards the slaughter sword Dao, but is also somewhat different from it. After undergoing the trial of the dual sword kings will statue in the bewilderment fog forbidden zone, Yi Chen's sword Dao knowledge was immeasurably rich. With a single glance, he could tell that Feng Yanrou's sword Dao cultivation base was not simple. He didn't expect to encounter such a powerful sword Dao genius as soon as he left South Rudra region. South Rudra region is one of the smallest regions of True Spirit continent, while Misty Snow region is one of the largest. There is indeed a big gap between them. With her current accomplishments, apart from myself, no one in the young generation of South Rudra region can compare to her. I wonder what her rank is in the Misty Snow region's young generation. With this thought in mind, Yi Chen couldn't help but send a Zhen Yuan transmission to Feng Yanrou. Miss, I wonder what kind of grievances there are between you two. Feng Yanrou was very grateful to Yi Chen. If not for Yi Chen, she wouldn't have been able to catch up to Gao Qianhe no matter what. Dividing her attention, she sent a transmission to Yi Chen while suppressing Gao Qianhe. This person is an extremely vicious and cruel evil sect member in Misty Snow region. He killed my junior sister for no reason, and even tried to do bad things to her. Feng Yanrou narrated everything to Yi Chen. So that's how it is. Yi Chen faintly nodded. He had done the right thing this time, not letting Gao Qianhe leave. Actually, during the exchange, he could tell that Gao Qianhe was not a righteous person. His attacks were vicious, and he wanted to kill him without saying a word. A righteous person with principles wouldn't do such a thing. With his soul power locked onto Gao Qianhe's every movement, Yi Chen was afraid that Gao Qianhe would escape again, although the possibility was very small. Beehive Mist Blade. With so many sword wounds on his body, Gao Qianhe's physical strength was gradually depleting, and he was no longer Feng Yanrou's opponent. With an angry roar, he shook his long whip. At the tip of the whip, thumb-sized pieces of it separated and shot out like a swarm of bees. Humph! This mid-grade prized weapon of mine is different from ordinary mid-grade prized weapons. At critical moments, the tip of the whip will automatically detach and become part of the attack. Even experts stronger than me would be injured. This is my life-saving killer move. Gao Qianhe sneered. Feng Yanrou's expression didn't change. Her left hand formed a sword art, and her protective Zhen Yuan collapsed. Ice Snow Sword Domain. Xing 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 xing, a white light cover expanded, protecting Feng Yanrou in the center. The white light cover was always in a circulating state. If one observed carefully, they would be able to see that within the circulating white light, countless sword lights were connected from head to tail, creating layers and layers of defense. Countless sharp whip tips shot at the barrier, but were immediately bounced off. Not good. She has actually studied the Snow Sword Master's ultimate profound. Gao Qianhe was greatly shocked. He no longer had the determination to fight with his life on the line. The Snow Sword Master was a powerful Sea of Soul Realm expert. The ultimate profound she had learned was not something he could break. Although Feng Yanrou had only learned a little bit of it, it was enough to frighten others. What kind of move is this? It is still within the scope of mentalities, but it has long surpassed the usage of mentalities. It even contains the profound sword Dao mentalities. Yi Chen rubbed his chin and couldn't help but think of the void-shattering finger he had obtained in the Goat Head Mountain. This void-shattering finger had surpassed the scope of mentalities. In terms of usage, it was at the same level as Feng Yanrou's ultimate move, perhaps even a bit higher. In these years, Yi Chen had also studied the void-shattering finger, but he could only use it in a more ingenious way. It was hard to comprehend its true meaning. Moreover, the profoundness of the transcending mentalities was something Yi Chen had never seen before. Sword Domain Cut. Waving her sword, Feng Yanrou drew out the sword light from the white light barrier and slashed at Gao Qianhe. Crack! Without any suspense, one of Gao Qianhe's arms was torn off, and even his shoulder was almost cleaved apart. His mid-grade defensive artifact was covered in a layer of ice, emitting a cold chi. Kid, if I die, you'll be my scapegoat. At this moment, Gao Qianhe hated Yi Chen the most. Without Yi Chen, Feng Yanro wouldn't have caught up to him. If she hadn't caught up, he wouldn't have fallen into a situation of certain death. Moreover, with his remaining battle power, it was absolutely impossible for him to injure Feng Yanro. Therefore, he set his sights on Yi Chen, wanting him to die with him. This was the consequence of offending Gao Qianhe. Bang! Countless spatial cracks spread out as Gao Qianhe fearlessly dove toward Yi Chen, exchanging his life for his own. He didn't have the slightest bit of defense. Careful! Feng Yanro hastily warned Yi Chen. The latter's movement technique was indeed exceptional, but his battle power shouldn't be that high. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to defend with all his might under Gao Qianhe's attacks without any power to resist. Feng Yanro, who was grateful to Yi Chen, didn't wish for Yi Chen to die in front of her. The instant she warned Yi Chen, she raised her speed to the limit and slashed out with her sword. Shadow Shift. The sword she missed, and Gao Qianhe risked his life, pushing his Shadow Shift divine art to an unprecedented peak. Yi Chen floated motionlessly at his original position, a sneer flashing at the corner of his mouth. However, in Gao Qianhe's eyes, it seemed like a bitter smile, which made him feel even more delighted. Chapter 379. If you didn't stop me, you wouldn't have died. This is retribution. Now, let's all die together. Extreme Chaos Mist Blade, explode. Gao Qianhe, who was determined to die, detonated his Jin Yuan, destroying his meridians and dislocating his internal organs. All of this made his attack even more powerful than when he was fighting with Feng Yanro. Dozens of whip shadows exploded crazily, riddling the void with thousands of holes. Sorry. Feng Yanro's face was full of guilt. If Yi Chen died, she would have to bear the biggest responsibility. Unsheathing his destruction sword, Yi Chen said with an indifferent tone, "Miss Feng, it shouldn't be a problem for me to kill him, right?" Yi Chen's voice was transmitted almost instantaneously. At this moment, the closest whip shadow was less than a foot away from Yi Chen. It was a matter of life and death. His tone made Feng Yanro and Gao Qianhe dazed for a moment. What was he thinking? At this moment, Feng Yanro didn't have time to answer. However, Yi Chen took it as her silence. Puff! The shadow was pierced through. Feng Yanro was about to cry out in alarm when she discovered that it was only an afterimage. Soon, more afterimages exploded like a flood, pouring down on Gao Qianhe. The afterimages shattered one after another, but she still couldn't see Yi Chen's real body. Suddenly, a sword light flickered in the void. The blue-robed Yi Chen appeared in front of Gao Qianhe at an unknown time. The destruction sword in his hand trembled and pierced out. Shoo! The sword tip pierced through Gao Qianhe's protective Jin Yuan and pierced through his throat, coming out from the back of his neck. A strand of blood flew in the air. An extreme astral reaching expert had died under Yi Chen's sword. However, this sword was just an ordinary one. There were no tricks or mysteries. If one had to describe it, it would be that it was extremely fast. It was so fast that Gao Qianhe had no time to block or react. When the sword arrived, he died. As the sword was pulled out, blood splashed out. Gao Qianhe pointed his finger at Yi Chen, his eyes wide open. He seemed to want to say something, but because his throat was damaged, he couldn't say anything. Even at the moment of death, he didn't know what had happened. A sword artist who was only a bit troublesome in his eyes had killed him with one sword. Only at the moment of the sword attack did he realize how sharp it was. Maintaining the posture of death, Gao Qianhe fell on his back. What? Feng Yanro finally blurted out the words that had been brewing in her throat. However, the words that came out were not the words that she wanted to say. It was too shocking. Just like Gao Qianhe, she believed that Yi Chen was a slightly more powerful sword artist, roughly at the level of peak astral reaching experts. He would be able to exchange a couple of attacks with extreme astral reaching experts, but he would definitely not be able to block an all-out attack from an extreme astral reaching expert. After all, extreme astral reaching experts were already the limit of astral reaching experts. If one wanted to surpass this limit, one would have to reach the Sea of Soul Realm or have an upper-grade artifact. However, reaching the Sea of Soul Realm was easier said than done. Her talent and comprehension were definitely at the top of the Misty Snow region. However, the sect leader had also said that she would not have the slightest chance of reaching the Sea of Soul Realm within 5 years. No matter how many miracles she had, no matter what kind of enlightenment she had, she would not be able to reach the Sea of Soul Realm within 5 years. Not everyone could become an existence like Xianhou. Otherwise, she would not have been the scariest genius of the true spirit continent in the past 1,000 years. However, an upper-grade artifact was not that easy to obtain. Apart from the rank 6 sects, there were very few of them circulating in the outside world. Moreover, they were mostly in some unknown ancient ruins, which were extremely dangerous. Even Sea of Soul Realm experts would face life-threatening dangers if they entered, not to mention astral reaching experts. Plus, even if one had an upper-grade artifact, it would be hard to keep it. Everyone understood the concept of possessing a treasure will arouse the suspicion of others. Sea of Soul Realm experts would not mind killing an astral reaching expert and taking his upper-grade artifact. Therefore, those who had an upper-grade artifact would either be a Sea of Soul Realm expert or be extremely well hidden, not daring to reveal it. Even Feng Yenro herself did not have an upper-grade artifact. It was not that her sect did not want to give it to her, but that they did not want to bring her danger. Rank 6 sects were not enough to scare some lone Sea of Soul Realm experts. Not to mention a disciple of a rank 6 sect, even if you were a child of a rank 6 sect leader, they would still dare to kill you for your treasures. If an extreme astral reaching expert had an upper-grade artifact, then he would be an invincible astral reaching expert, which was publicly acknowledged by the entire true spirit continent. Unfortunately, invincible astral reaching experts were even rarer than life and death kings. No, they were not even half of the life and death kings. Moreover, they were all unknown, hidden in the deepest corners of the continent. Only when faced with life and death situations would they be exposed. Only then did the world know that he was an extreme astral reaching expert with an upper-grade artifact. Without a doubt, Gao Qianhe was an extreme astral reaching expert. Although he was just an ordinary person, under his last desperate attack, even the powerful extreme astral reaching experts would have to retreat 3 feet. Yi Chen's previous performance was not that amazing, only his movement art was outstanding. However, when Yi Chen unsheathed his sword and was about to kill, Feng Yenro finally saw his sharpness, the kind of sharpness that could take away one's soul with one sword. One sword. Merely one sword. Feng Yenro had chased after Gao Qianhe for 3 months, leaving her with no way to deal with him, but in the end, he was killed cleanly and cleanly. One sword to the throat, without any power to fight back. What an amazing sword Dao genius. I was a bit too complacent before. I wonder if he is a sword Dao genius from the Thunder region or some other region. Feng Yenro had already regarded Yi Chen as a genius of the same level. It was not that she underestimated him, but rather that she had given him a very high evaluation. Gao Qianhe's last desperate attack was indeed powerful, but in the eyes of sword artists, it was actually more of a flaw. And for a sword artist, if they did not grasp the opportunity to strike a flaw, then they were not qualified to be a sword artist. Therefore, killing Gao Qianhe with one sword strike was something Feng Yenro could also do. However, she had previously thought that Yi Chen was a peak astral reaching expert, which was why she was so surprised. As for which region Yi Chen was a sword Dao genius, Feng Yenro did not think about the nearest South River region. She did not think that South River region, which had not had a life and death king for hundreds of years, could give birth to such a powerful sword genius. South River region had started to decline 1,000 years ago. It could only be the Thunder region or some other region. Shaking off the blood on the destruction sword and putting it back into its scabbard, Yi Chen turned around and said to Feng Yanro, "Sorry, it was too convenient." Actually, with Yi Chen's strength, he could have easily blocked Gao Qianhe's last desperate attack. However, after being trapped in the bewilderment fog forbidden zone for almost half a year, and going through 4 months of despair and near collapse, Yi Chen's evil aura had not dissipated yet. Earlier, he did not ask about the cause of the matter, so he did not do anything to Gao Qianhe. He only stopped him. But now that he was about to kill him, his evil aura suddenly erupted, and he casually killed Gao Qianhe, venting out the 4 months of depression. After killing Gao Qianhe, Yi Chen felt a lot more relaxed. Feng Yanro shook her head, "No, if you did not kill him, he would have killed you. I haven't even thanked you yet. How could I blame you?" Not being able to kill Gao Qianhe herself, Feng Yanro was indeed a bit disappointed. However, now that he was dead, her mood was also a lot more relaxed. Yi Chen chuckled and asked, "Are you from the Misty Snow region?" "Yeah, I am a disciple of the Misty Snow Martial School." "Are you from the Thunder region?" Feng Yanro asked back. "No, I am from the South Rudra region." South Rudra region. Feng Yanro was a bit surprised. She had never heard of any noteworthy martial genius in the South Rudra region. Only Xikong Sheng was famous. Of course, her understanding of the South Rudra region was still a couple of years ago. Back then, Xikong Sheng was only a peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, while she had already reached the astral reaching realm. She believed that after a couple of years, Xikong Sheng would not be that bad. He would definitely reach the astral reaching realm, and would be ranked in the top 20 or even top 10 in the Misty Snow region. What? Is there something wrong? Feng Yanro shook her head, then, in the last hidden dragon rank, you should have beaten Xikong Sheng. Yes, he was very powerful. I had to spend a lot of effort to beat him. Now that he has gone to another region, he should have improved a lot. Yi Chen had never underestimated anyone. Xikong Sheng, Yan Qihua, Murong Qingqing, Li Daoxian, Tua Baku, and Bing Ling were all his competitors. Being in the lead for a while did not mean being in the lead for a lifetime. The meaning of martial geniuses was that you would never know when they would explode. Once they did, it would be extremely horrifying. Xianhou had also been quiet for a while. But, when she exploded, it shocked the whole continent. While looking down on others, they were also looking down on themselves. Although some martial geniuses were arrogant, it did not mean that they had no achievements. Even among the legendary life and death realm warriors, there were a lot of arrogant people who had such personalities. Therefore, personality was just personality. As long as one worked hard and persevered, then no matter who one was, one would be able to create his or her own glory. Even the evil ones were the same. Feng Yanro did not dwell on this topic. I have to thank you for killing Gao Qianhe this time. I have been chasing him for 3 months. Now, I have to go back to the snowy palace. Oh right, what is your name? She had already told Yi Chen her name. Yi Chen. Yi Chen, I will remember you. See you in the future. Shoo. The cold aura gradually disappeared as Feng Yanro flew into the distance. Soon, she disappeared into the horizon. Taking back his gaze, Yi Chen sighed. The South Rudra region had been weak for a long time. Not many people in the outside world valued the South Rudra region, thinking that it would continue to decline. But, everything was different now. As the current #1 martial genius of the South Rudra region, he would naturally improve. Those martial geniuses who were below him would also set him as their goal and try to catch up. Within 3 to 5 years, the situation of the South Rudra region would change. If I want to change the competitive environment, it is actually very simple. I only need an even more powerful leader. I will take this position for now. For the current Yi Chen, modesty was already meaningless. As the leader of the South Rudra region, he naturally had to have this kind of bearing. Looking back at the fog-shrouded forbidden area, Yi Chen bitterly smiled. He would not enter it again within 3 to 5 years. This place could torture people to the point of insanity. If one was unlucky, it would be normal to be trapped for several years. Fortunately, he had come out. Shoo! Turning into a beam of light, Yi Chen broke through the clouds and flew above, heading toward the South Rudra region. In a couple of cities near the Star Region Lake in the South Rudra region, people were still talking about Yi Chen. A martial genius had been trapped in the bewildering fog-forbidden area for almost half a year. Without any surprises, Yi Chen would not be able to come back until he reached the Sea of Souls realm. And, reaching the Sea of Souls realm was not something that could be done overnight. Xianhou had only reached the Sea of Souls realm when she was 25 years old, which had already broken the 1,000-year record of the true spirit continent. Yi Chen was currently 20 years old. Even if his talent was at the same level as Xuanhou's, he would still need another 5 years. Within 5 years, there would be no more Yi Chen in the South Rudra region. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.